Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Performance Training with Coach Abdullah. Today we're gonna have like Q&A. Coach, a lot of question nowadays how to build muscle and lose fat in the same time. And is it possible?
Short answer, yes, it's possible. How do you do it? I would say the best format to do it would be high intensity interval training with variation of different weights and different exercises, and you'll burn fat and build muscle. It's very possible.
Is it true that participate in another sport side of weightlifting affect your muscle growth? Because all the people here, unfortunately, is following one methodology, is bodybuilding.
Okay, let me get this question straight. So, does your participation in a sport have an effect on your muscle growth? Is that your question?
Yeah.
It depends on what the sport is and what muscle groups that the sport involves. Absolutely. Let's say if I'm a marathon runner, my muscles are going to be very lean. If I'm a sprinter, I'm going to have bulky muscles. If I'm a rugby player, football player, I'm going to have big muscles in certain parts of my body. Of course, activity in a sport is going to determine what general type of shape or what general type of muscle groups are going to be enhanced to perform the task needed in that sport.
I get like a lot of people talking that being based or individualized in bodybuilding that you cannot do any other sport but bodybuilding.
Well,
it will burn the muscle and you cannot make your muscle bigger,
Well, it's that's just based on limited information. Those people probably mean well, but it's just not accurate, and it's not based on history, even the history of bodybuilding. If you go back and look at even the Arnolds, you look at Franco Columbu. These guys were athletes. These guys could swim, they could run, they could even run long distance, they could sprint. They were power lifters as well as you could say conventional bodybuilders. So to say that if I engage in a sport, I'm going to lose muscle, that's absolutely not true. Just look at the NFL. If you don't want to look at the NFL, look at Division I and Division I AA and maybe even Division II American college football. Look at the bodies on those guys. Look at the guys that are 6'5", 245 pounds. He has about 8-9% body fat. He runs a 4.5, 4.6, sometimes even a 4.4. Well, not that size, but maybe like a 4. Some guys do. And he can jump. He's benching over 400. He's got lean muscle. He can run a mile, 2 miles, and it happens every day, all day. It has been happening for years. I mean, some people will look at me and say, here, because they don't understand, they would say this is a bodybuilder's body. It's not a bodybuilder's body. This is an athletic body. The way the bulk of my muscles are in certain places because of my previous athletic participation. And some of the bodybuilders have not even achieved that level of muscle development. And that's because when you're an athlete, you're measured, you compete. So the concept of getting better and better every day in training, in competition, and the pressure there to perform, hey, your muscles are going to go through something in that process through your coaches. They're going to train you harder. They're going to tell you to eat better. You're going to learn how to stretch better. You're going to learn different techniques to enhance the muscles you need to perform. So it's a misconception to think that you're going to, unless you're a bodybuilder and you want to turn into a marathon runner, yeah, your muscles are going to melt. You're not going to, first of all, you're not going to be able to do it. Your body is going to have to do some changes because the having all that bodybuilded just tight, bunched up muscles that aren't really often stretched or exercised aerobically. That's why you see those guys that are they can't really do a lot of cardio.
Stiffness.
They can't a lot of stiffness, they can't do a lot of long cardio. Well, they can do long cardio, but they can't, jog. Let's say 5 miles. It would be really treacherous for a lot of. Can you imagine Big Ramy jogging 5 miles? or Ashkenani in Kuwait? Can you imagine him jogging 5-10 miles?
No way. No way. No way.
That's my point. But I guarantee you can find a guy, not to the extreme of Big Ramy, but maybe Ashkenani, that plays American football that can run 5 miles. And he has. I'm not saying he's going to be as cut up and blown up as Ashkenani, but you can find that same height and weight and real big bodybuilder style muscles on a football player that can run that distance.
I mean, you are what you train for.
Exactly. Epigenetics in training.
Okay, coach, this is a most common question, about people, especially that they're not in the sport, like how to get the six packs. And we find a lot of videos and a lot of advertisements for in the YouTube, and people just advertise their products, their books, whatever. So can you tell us about it?
Yes, and I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. You want a six pack? You start in your kitchen. That's. I'm just gonna leave it at that. You want a six pack? Start in your kitchen. Then we'll get to the gym stuff later.
How can you design your diet based on your goals?
How can you design your diet based on your goals? Well, let's say most people commonly want to lose weight. So first, how I like to advise people is to learn your habits. So I usually like to tell people you're going to create a 7-day chart in which you chart everything you eat for 7 days. And that's how you're going to see your behaviors. You get it to a guy like me, then I'll be able to tell you this is why you're not losing weight, because this is your habit right here. And what we do is we just step by step try to, if it's for losing weight, we try to eliminate the major causes that are causing this individual person to gain weight. And most likely, it's, commonly people are eating processed foods. They're eating a lot of processed starches. They're eating like rice that's soaked in oil every day. Once you learn how to cut these things out of your diet, and you go to a nutrient-based diet, you're gonna see the weight just drop off. Especially when you have a consistent, active, and I say physical activity. You don't necessarily. There's women, children, and different people in different walks of life. They can't get to a gym, but if you get up and walk for 20, 30 minutes every day, especially first thing in the morning, these things help with a good diet. You're going to see the weight with proper hydration. That's another thing. You'll see the weight kind of fall off the body. And then if you do get to the gym and you get to a person like me, you're going to see rapid change really fast. Alhamdulillah. Now, if it's on the other side, let's say you want to gain weight, I would still take the same steps, but I would look at just clean up the general diet to get it more nutrient based. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to increase certain foods, and we're going to train a certain way in the gym to get that weight up. So you're actually gaining lean muscle. You're gaining weight. This is something I learned how to do. It was really hard at age 16, 17, around that age. And that was the Bigger, Stronger, Faster program, which was 15 to 20 pounds of lean muscle, bigger, stronger, and faster in 60 days. And I did that program, and I excelled in that program, and that's how I got 15 pounds heavier, stronger, and faster. So on the flip side, you can gain lean muscle also.
If you have a picture before the program and after, would you show it us?
Well, I don't. Okay.
Because
I kind of actually did that. I was just playing around with this live thing, and I showed a picture of me in running track my senior year after I had gained. I showed two pictures. You'll see me. Maybe I'll show it. I'll maybe when we get this edited, I'll get the guy to send in the two pictures. I'll try to send in two pictures of before and after of the bigger, stronger, and faster. Yeah, that's on another note. But yeah, I was talking about that. I was playing. There was nobody in my live. I think only one person came, but I did show the picture on that live where you can see the thickness around my chest area. And that was through powerlifting and doing that bigger, stronger, faster program. I got really strong. I got really, it was beneficial. Yeah, and that was all natural.
what is robot mode in the gym, coach? A guy just show up. He's confused. He doesn't know what he's doing. He goes and asks the coach for a schedule or training, and he's still lost.
Right. I'm gonna try to give you two faces of robot mode. This is something it happens back home, but I see it's really, really, really common here, and that is not the transcendence or the transference of knowledge from coach to client. So what I see is robot mode is a person doesn't ever have to use his brain. They just walk in the gym, coach, what do I do? He says, do this, this, and this, and this, and this. And then the next day he comes in, and what do I do? This, and that goes on ever. This, and if you're in one gym and you spend days, weeks, months, and you're able to see the same people over 2 or 3 years' time, and they're doing the same thing. At some point in time, if you don't learn something, you become a robot. And I always talk about predictable results. The predictable result in this case, if you go into robot mode, is what? You're never gonna. This person doesn't make goals, but you're just gonna have a cycle of progress and digression, progression and digression, progression and digression. It'll be just an ingoing cycle, because if that coach is not really coaching you, what do you do? I mean, you just, there's no progression there. There's just no, you're doing the same things over and over. There's no charting of your weights. There's no charting of your progress. There's no tests. There's no real measurement of success in that program, in a system like that. And that's what I call robot mode. And people are consistently following this, I believe, only because some of the individuals that perpetuate this style, they lock them in with a false promise in pills and injections. You take the pills and injections away, this person, I think, Allahu Alam, I think that they would see that this is, I'm not getting anywhere.
Wow.
I'm not getting anywhere with this guy.
Wow.
But when I can give you a bag, and then and all you do, oh yeah, I trust you now, because you're basically my street pharmacist. You see what I mean?
So it's not a coach anymore. It's a chemist.
Right. So he comes in, he does do that, and you see the progress. What he didn't tell you is that the progress will go away, and then and then what happens? If you're hurt because it's messing with your hormones, most of the guys, they get hurt. They get emotionally imbalanced. They stop coming to the gym. Then, he wakes up, he looks in his old social media, he was looking good and feeling fine, and I gotta go back to the gym. So he goes back to the gym to the same guy who hands him another bag. And he sees results again. And that's that progression and digression that you can never get out of, man.
So it's more in the brain, psychological, manipulating your emotions and how do you feel about yourself, you know?
Well, that's what it leads to. That's what it leads to, because a real coach is building you foundation, brick by brick, till you reach the goal that you want. And usually a good coach is going to take you beyond your own personal expectations in the training. Once you master the fundamentals and really buy into the concept of what the coach is giving you, that's when you personify it. And that's when you see amazing things come out of people. Michael Jordan, Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali. These are people, Roy Jones, LeBron James, Tiger Woods, Serena and Venus Williams. They started at day one and they mastered fundamentals. The coach built them to a point, then they shot off and took off. Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, from Fajr until Asr, shooting free throws. No, that wasn't good enough.
Wow.
Come on, man. There's a way to be a champion now. Don't make it cheap. Don't make it cheap. There's a way to be a champion.
Okay, let me put this in place. You know, you find people here in the gyms, you know, he's all of a sudden like took a steroids and he become like bigger or something, and his friend walk in the gym and all of a sudden he's trying to coach him. Then when his coach came, he go to the coach to ask him about his training.
See, that's why you have to go through I don't want to get too deep and philosophical about it, but that has to do with, that's a psychological issue. Because if you're not a coach and you feel like you need to coach, that means you need to feel important. You want to feel important to society without paying your dues. You don't want to pay the price. You just want to be there. You see?
So there is no honesty about what they are doing.
How could it be? How could it be? I just because I look a certain way makes me the coach of the year, and I know how to teach everybody? Come on, no, not like that, bro. Pay your dues. Pay your dues. Learn something. And see, the thing about it is, I'll tell you what, the most humble of coaches, they're mesquite, man. They don't have a famous name. The coaches don't get the credit. The coaches that built the basketball players, that built the boxers, that built the football, the first one, the work, and sometimes they don't get the credit they deserve. You hear about Muhammad Ali, but how many people know who he coached him? Okay? Roy Jones, how many people know who coached him? You see the medal in the first place and the bling bling, but you don't know what it took to get there. And so when people come in a society or come in a generation where they disregard those who paid the dues, and you have this false persona based on, some really trash manipulation, and now what you're gonna do because you seek it, you're willing to really play a fool. Because it's just like a person who's a quack doctor and a real doctor. A real sheikh of tafsir or any religious science and someone who's just talking. You telling me you can't tell the difference? You can. So the person who puts himself up like that, at the end of the day, when you put it to the acid test, is this true or not? They fail. Because it's just for likes, views, subscriptions, to be famous. If that's all you're chasing, you'll do anything to be famous.
So it's a false reality, we can say, and there is no self-preservation behind it. Even if it was, it's wrong. They're seeing themselves from the wrong side. You know?
Haven't we not? See, a person like me, I'm a social analyst. What does that mean? I'm the guy who looks in the shadows and I try to judge and understand how society's moving and why it's moving that way. Okay? Haven't we seen a person that came on social media in whatever form and they boosted themselves up to be high as the stars, only to just crash horribly? Several people, it has happened to them because it was a fake persona. It was an act. It wasn't real. You see what I mean? And that's this generation now, the time we live in, people will do it. They'll do it.
Let me get this. How a person is feeling about himself, you know, that if he just being raised, you know, by the society, then he gets de-criticized, you know, in the same way. Nobody is looking about him, or the people around him knows that he's a fool or he's fake person.
I'm not getting exactly what you need to just sum up what you want me to talk about.
I mean, someone who just like being pumped out in the social media,
right,
and he has nothing, you know, to give back to the society. He doesn't add value to the people. He doesn't.
Come on. I'm sorry to interrupt you. We can say 90% of the people who are famous on social media right now in any country have nothing to offer society. Absolutely nothing.
What about the people that they're following them? And you know that they're cheering them up.
Because it's sad to say, people who are born who are not solidly grounded are one of the masses. And the masses, unfortunately, are like sheep. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. And that's when you see lack of individualism. What do I mean by individualism? You like that shirt, I like this one. That's your hairstyle, this is mine.
Right.
You see what I mean? I come from the gutter. I mean, when I say that, let me take that back. I don't come from the gutter like that. I've been in the gutter. Put it like that. I've been in the gutter. And I have a distinct culture. So why, if in my culture that I suffered, I am insan majruh from my culture in many different avenues. So why is it that some young man in Jeddah has no honor for his own culture to the point he would imitate the worst of some of the worst traits of my culture? Because he lacks individualism. He lacks honor for who he is and who he comes from.
You know,
and he's, again, I told you, if you're not firmly grounded, you're one of the masses, and the masses are just like sheep.
Maybe he has, of course he has no personalities, you know, he just wanna be liked, or he just wanna fit in the society. So, you know, he looks up to what's the majority of the society is doing, and I wanna be like them, you know, so I wanna fit in, you know.
Peer pressure.
Yeah, exactly. You know, instead of like go against the grain and be the wolf, you know, and climb the hills and
be the alpha wolf, the alpha male in the wolf pack, the leader and not the follower.
Right.
I get it.
You know, because the follower is, you know, he just follow the steps of the leader, and he's there. He doesn't have to suffer. He doesn't have to. Let's keep it with the suffering. You know, you want to be comfortable. You know.
I mean, everybody wants to be comfortable. If we understand life, sometimes comfort comes after difficulty.
Right. But those people, mainly...
You see, in life, what makes you... Kids, when they're growing up, they need to have the experience of riding the bike. They fall down and scratch their knee. They run into the neighborhood bully. They're competing in something and they lose. Why? Because this develops character. You're not, if you have everything paved out for you, every time there's a difficulty, somebody is there to bail you out. You're gonna have weak character. And you're not going to have patience. You're not going to be able to struggle. You're going to always tap out.
I mean, if we talk about this subject, nowadays kids, is like being their life associated with the technology and, phones, smartphones, iPads, and they literally, they don't have personalities, and the parents, they don't want to take the pressure and the effort, to spend time with their kids, to make them learn something in their life. When they grow up, they can move on, But they give them the whatever, the iPad, the phone, just to shut him up and keep them busy, A stage of a short thinking and short span of focus. So the kids growing up like having no personalities, they don't know how to associate with the life itself.
Yeah, you brought up so many issues. I'll take the first one. Of course, some of the things are out of our control. Our society, the world, the global society is moving fast towards technology. That's something that's out of our control. As parents, what parents have to do is understand the playing ground, the playing field. You have to understand that there are certain applications that are dangerous for children. As parents, you have to understand that the tab, the iPhone, the iPad is not a babysitter. Those things have to be monitored. They have to be, you just can't let your kid run off. And because nowadays, it's so easy on YouTube. If you're letting your kid they could get into something terrible. You know what I mean? Really terrible. And the thing about it is the parents that aren't having an interpersonal relationship with their kids. Interpersonal relationship. Yes, we're father and son, mother and daughter. Father and daughter, mother and son. Yes. But do we have an other existing relationship? Can we be friendly? Can we be friendly?
A lot of parents nowadays, they don't associate with the kids. Even the kids, when they go to their parents, they're only demanding something. That's it. Otherwise, they're in the room, in the PlayStation or whatever, in the phone, and even like under 20s, between like I would say like 14, 13 till 20 and more. That's what they're associating at the house with. Phones, technology.
So now, let's tie in what you just said back to what we were talking about in the gym. So those are some of the people that we're dealing with. That's what you're talking about.
Okay.
So, those are some of the people that may have these, different kind of behaviors, might fall into those same traps where, give me the bag, and they get in that little cycle. Hey, it might be the same. One could be related to the other. Could be. But back to the issue, parents have to have a relationship with their children. Because me, being a coach and dealing with kids, my phone is ringing all the time. And what I hear is parents aren't spending time with their kids. They don't know the issues that their kids are going through. They're not even teaching the kids the basic, we're in Saudi, so I'm talking about Muslim families. A lot of these kids, the parents aren't even teaching them the basic fundamental principles of Islam. So if you grow up, after a while, the brain associates everything, and then by the time you get to 30, you're going to be dependent on how this individual person tried to have a connection with God and to have some kind of basira or have some kind of navigation way to navigate this world, he might realize at age 30, like, wow, I was taught nothing. But now that I know that, I'm going to do it myself.
Some people don't get to that.
I understand that.
Unfortunately.
I understand that.
Wow.
But what I'm saying is, these kids, because there is no relationship, no foundation, they're experimenting in everything. That's what I'm getting on the phone calls. This American Muslim brother who came to your country, I've been here 10 years, these are the phone calls that I get from your children.
So can you tell us, like, shortly, how you've been raised, Coach? How did your parents raise you?
This is loaded. Of course, I was raised in a Christian family, and my family on both sides come from Kansas by way of Oklahoma, and that's in America they call that the Bible Belt. So we grew up with very strict, what we would consider Christian values. I grew up, I didn't call my mother mama, I called my mother mother. When I was real small, I had to be excused from the table. People outside of the family, I had to say yes ma'am, and yes sir. I had to address people by Mr. Any infraction in my mother's house was immediately addressed. I didn't have options. I couldn't talk back. I was the 6-year-old kid sent to go buy my mother's female products at 6 years old, and my mother would give me some instructions that I had to use to survive. At 6 years old, you got dogs in the neighborhood, you got who knows what, older people, bad people. You got to look for cars, cross the street, buy her stuff, come back. And with me doing that, my fear of letting down my mother was greater than the danger of the streets. That's how I was raised. My father, on the other hand, was, to me, he wouldn't say that about himself. To me, was a manly father. His voice put me in check. His anger snapped me up. My mother used to have to spank me, with a belt. That's how we do it in America. You got to get whooped with a belt. Yeah, we must go get a belt. And if you get the old folks, they take a little skinny branch from the tree called a switch, and that cut. Oh my God!
Parents get whoopings.
Hey, back in my. But you know what? I tell you what, man. Even though I haven't raised my kids like that, man, they kept me out of stuff. And I believe that even in Islam, teach your children how to pray at 7 and beat them when they at 10 if they don't.
Right.
So the physical discipline in its right context has a place in putting kids in check. I don't think you should have extremism in it. Personally, I'm very mild in my physical discipline with my kids because I'm going back to what I learned from my mother. I want my kids to trust me. In order for them to trust me, I can't give them options when they're kids. When I tell them not to do something, they have to do it. That to me, and at the same time, it's not just ordering. I can show them love, and I can congratulate them from their achievement when they do what I say. I can reward them for that. I personally, this is how I was raised. It wasn't perfect. I was exposed to things that, a typical Saudi family would say, A'udhu billah, what's that? Ishada. I was exposed to drugs. I saw drugs I saw alcohol. I saw, as a small kid, I saw pornography. At the same time, that's American life. Pornography is on the streets. Don't blame my parents for that. That's American culture.
Right.
You go to American families, everybody had an uncle who had Playboy magazine collection. Okay?
Old school.
Yeah, that's what I'm just keeping it real. This is the truth. I mean, this is the culture. Certain families, a man drinking a beer, watching a sports game is just normal. A woman and her husband having a glass of wine with dinner is normal with some people, And I was raised around that. Okay.
In your childhood, how to recover? Let's say for a guy that he was raised around this, a Muslim guy, he was raised around this stuff. How to recover from that, in your opinion?
If you mean recovering, like removing yourself from those things,
right?
I think even as I told you, we grew up as a strict Christian. Those things are still deemed bad, even though they exist, and even though it might exist with certain family members. So it's still looked as bad. So once I became a Muslim off of knowledge. Okay? I was a college student. I was reading books. I had a report to do. That's how I got to Islam. If I become Muslim, alladhi yastaslim lillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if I became a Muslim, then if that's the way, that's the way. That's how you remove it from you. Because he who truly submits to God, subhanallah, it can be away from you. Even if you fall into it, you would have nadam, you would have remorse, and you would come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see what I mean? You have a guilt there. You have the door of repentance is open for those who want it. You see what I mean? And because I knew that, anytime as a young Muslim that I failed, I came back. Because, once you totally give in, I mean, it doesn't just stop it right there. Once you totally give in to your desires, what's next? You lose total self-control.
Right.
And the human being is given free will to navigate this world between right and wrong. And once you lose your control, you lose your ability to navigate, what's next?
Coach, can you tell us, in terms of sport, how did your father raise you?
In my generation, once the older people, like the grandparents, the aunts, the dads, the moms, when they see the kids stuck to the television, we used to get kicked out of the house. My dad would kick me out of the house, and he would teach me boxing. And he would get me in a stance, tell me how to hold my hand, and he would tell me how to throw the punches, and then he would be like, okay, go. And he would, I would just have to, throw punches. And at that time, how he tricked me, he told me, fight the shadow. So fight your own shadow, and it's really hard to do.
Yeah, it's not easy.
But as a kid, I was stuck on that. I would be like, really trying to beat my shadow because, as a kid, you believe your parents. Your dad said, okay, I want you to beat the shadow. And I really tried. And that habit carried with me, man, for years and years and years and years until a point came when I just really started focusing on running and playing football. But yeah, man, same, riding my bike was another situation like that. Kicked me out of the house. You're gonna ride your bike today. Another one. We were in. Now my parents divorced. My dad lives in LA. We go to Santa Monica Beach. You're gonna swim today in the ocean.
MashaAllah. Yeah.
And I learned how to swim that day.
And you have no choice.
Well, I mean, I didn't have a choice. I mean, he taught me, but he was determined. And a son listening to his father, and his dad is saying, hey, man, you're going to do this today. And the kind of impression that my father had on me, I did it.
Why I brought this? Because, a lot of kids nowadays, they don't listen to their parents. And, parents accepting the situations, and you see the father is fat, having a lot of cortisol, a lot of emotional response, and he sees his kids in the same way. They are fat, built wrong in terms of diet, lifestyle, sitting in the house, not doing a lot of activities, actually not having any activities.
I think it's the result of people got used to a certain way of living life until it caught up to a point and they just didn't realize, and it's now so this is what we do. It's the routine, and it's hard to break the routine. It's hard when for years we've been eating mom's full or mom's masub and tamiz and then mom's kabsa and you know what I mean? And it's been years and years and years, and we was drinking Pepsi, and all of these Western things entered into. So then, okay, we do the tamiz full and masub in the morning, shakshuka. We do kabsa, but we do burger or pizza or al-bake at night. With another every meal has a Pepsi with it. Some people, I saw people, a lot of people. What's gonna happen?
This is like,
over years, your body's gonna say, "Hey, I can't take it no more."
This is like over 5,000-6,000 calories per day. For kids with no activities, that it will damage the body and the brain most likely.
It's like sometimes if some of the kids that we've trained, they come and then they start doing these stabilization exercises, and it's like you pulled a string from their head and they just all of a sudden start posturing up again. Why? Because no activity, bad food, and then the thing about it is we just get into these habits. We think that a food that tastes good and looks good is good. Not always. Because I won't say the names because I don't want to down anybody's company, but a lot of these cute little restaurants that have this ready-made food, a lot of times maybe I would say maybe 65% to 60% of their menu is ready-made food. They just heat it up and present it real well to you. It's not really cooked food, it's processed food, it's been in the freezer. You can't, they have ways to make it taste better and you don't think it's frozen food. Sometimes we think the presentation, the ambiance, the environment, the taste of the food, it's good food. And good food maybe that tastes good is just not good, especially nowadays. Because we live in a lot, where the dollar is more important than your health. So you got flavor enhancers and all kind of artificial flavors that's playing with your mind, thinking this is tasting good, and you're confused about it. It's just,
I mean, if you don't pay attention to your health, obviously and intentionally, you're gonna pay for your health.
Exactly. Eventually, and that's what I was telling a guy in the gym. If you work hard, he's a businessman. Work hard in this business, very, very, very hard. If you can't take an hour out of your day to better your health, just like you couldn't take 5 moments out of your day to better your spirit and your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, then what are you working for? You working to keep all that money and just give it back to the hospital?
Right. Absolutely.
So what are you working for? You work you chasing the villa, the Mercedes, and the trips to France and to Paris and all that. And then when your body kicks out, you're in the hospital. You take your vacation now is a surgery in a foreign country.
Are there any gym ethics? And if yes, what they are? Or what are they?
Yeah. Gym ethics. Man, it's hard to say because every gym is different. Alhamdulillah, I've been blessed to be able to go to a lot of different gyms all over America and all over all over the world. And I would say the most common I'll start with the mixed gyms, men and women. Is First of all, I'm a former athlete, so when I go into a gym, I come into a gym with a program in mind. I'm not really concerned with anyone else, what anybody's doing, what they're wearing. It's really hard to get me out of that mindset because most of the time, I come in the gym with aches and pains. So I'm like really focused. I think a good gym ethic is to be knowing what you want to do and go there and get there. You know what I mean? Those people who are social, they want to talk and everything. Cool, but just understand, have a personality that's balanced enough to where no matter where you are in the world, you don't fall into an argument or a disagreement when it doesn't have to be like that. You know what I mean? Just be easy and try to just, make small talk. I don't think personally, I've been in a lot of gyms. I don't go and, even if I see somebody doing something wrong, if it's not dangerous, I don't say anything to them, even though I know better. It's not my business. And I didn't come in the gym for that. If in the mixed gyms, let's say a guy is attracted to a girl. Okay, you're attracted to a girl, but there might be so many other attractive. Why are you harassing her? Don't harass. I think I'm being raw and honest. I think the man that walks into a gym knowing what he wants to do and he's focused, to the women who are out there looking for men, that's probably one of the most attractive men in the gym. It's not the guy who's thirsty, trying to get close to her and, oh, what are you doing today? Oh, let me help you on your technique. Come on, man.
Trying to find the reason to avoid her.
That's terrible. And if you're in an alternative sexual lifestyle, my advice is to be understanding that there are regular men that don't want to be bothered, don't want to be stared at, don't want to be approached by another man in that way. If you're, I know in a certain gym in America that it got to the point that me and my training partner, we just knew to be out of the gym on a certain night by a certain time because those guys were just so aggressive that it got to the point of getting into arguments. You know what I mean? And I just think that now that the world is really kind of pushing that lifestyle, everybody has free will. You can do whatever you want, okay? I'm not the judge. God is the judge. But hey, just understand that there are some men who do not want to be looked at like another man would look at a woman. I think that causes unnecessary tension in the gym. I already mentioned coaching. I think that pretty much covers it. Return your weights. Return your weights. Be respectful. If you, just because you're working in a spot close to some guys, you should never take from their weight pile. You should walk around the gym and find your own weights. Or at least be polite enough to say, hey, are you guys using this right now? I'm just going to do something and I'll bring it back to you. Just be polite. A lot of guys sometimes have the idea that just because I'm close to you, I'm just going to snatch your weight. I'm going to use your weight. And see, that just, again, being over polite in a public place keeps you safe. You know what I mean? Being, even let's say you guys get in a disagreement. This is another a gym ethic. Be a problem solver, not a problem exacerbator. Don't increase the problem, okay? If a guy and you get in a friction and he says, hey, man, I don't want to talk to you right now. In a gym, certain gyms, there's a lot of high testosterone in the gym. And if you don't take a warning seriously, you could get seriously hurt in the gym.
Knock down.
Don't take a warning from a guy who's having a roid rage, who's very athletic. He might take a weight and bash you with it in your head just because you didn't take the warning. You know, being over polite in the gym is always the best policy. It's always the best policy. You don't have no, when I go to the gym, especially when I don't know nobody, even when I do know people, I have to get myself in a mental space. I have to get myself psyched up because, like I say, I walk in there with pain from being an athlete. So a lot of times I'll put my lecture on or put something on. I'm in the zone, man. I'm not looking at anybody.
Let me get this 2 points down. The first one is that if you've been stared too much by another guy and he doesn't come to you, speak to you, or say salam alaikum, he just staring, he's jealous, or he's like uncomfortable that you beasting in the gym. And the second thing that you will find some guys, that in the bench or in the machine, he's doing nothing, just talking to, being in his phone, and occupied the machine or the bench, And when you speak to him, he's like being frustrated, or he's like being hurt.
The first question was, again, remind me?
A guy staring about...
Right. Oh, it's about staring. Okay. I'm human. I'm a flawed individual. The way I was raised, what I've noticed in most places in the world, if you stare too long at a man without smiling, without saying something, it's like a threat.
Wow.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And I equate that to being, let's say you're in the desert, and a hyena, or a lion, or a tiger. You get eye to eye with a tiger. I think most people at that moment, if the last thing he's going to do is have a hard look at the lion or that animal.
Man, he will eat you, man. He will rape you.
If he has a moment that he can calm, he's going to be like, okay, easy, And I personally think that when that happens in the gym, those individuals actually expose something that dwells inside them.
So it's more deep than the demon.
I'll tell you like this. In America, there is a staring of admiration where I'm looking at your workout. I'm not really even staring at you. I'm just looking in your direction. I'm looking at your workout. And even when I see you, I'm like, man, good job. Nice workout. And I go on about my business. Nobody's going to bother that. Okay?
Right.
But when you stare to the point and you show no emotion, what does that mean to the individual that you're staring at? You don't speak to them. You don't smile at them. It's like a threat. And most individuals have in their psyche or their makeup self-preservation. They're going to put on a defense. So I feel you looking at me, I look back. You don't look away. So now we're in a staring car. So what, did I steal something from you? What did I do to you? So I'm in defense now. And I've seen those situations turn violent in America. I mean, if he sees this, my old training partner in Las Vegas, hey, I seen him chase two big old steroid, all tattooed up guys around the gym because he wasn't having it. This guy's not a gangster. He went to college, but he wasn't having it. You're not just going to stare at him and not speak to him and just be giving him hard looks without him coming back to say, hey, what's going on? What's going on? At the same time, I want to be balanced. As a man, if I'm going to be mutawazzin, balanced, murattab, there's times when you have to say, hey, look, me ignoring him is going to end the possibility of anything. Fight, argument, just ignore them. And what I have tried to, because I'm I ain't gonna lie, man, it makes me want to fire on somebody. Bow. Hey, I don't know what you're trying to do to me. I feel like there's a pro. I mean, you want to do something to me, and if you want to do something to me, I'm gonna hit you first. Put it like this: in my environment, let's say, and I've never been a criminal. I've been a legal person that carried a gun. Let's say a person is doing that. I know he has a gun. He's walking towards me. I shoot first, and I deal with the police later. Yes, come on. I mean, especially if he's got that look, and I know he has a gun. At minimum, I'm gonna brandish my weapon and tell you gotta back up, man.
It's a lot fun.
You back up, and if you move, it's clap. If you move, your hands move. Bow. I'm gonna go and fight my case in the court. I'll deal with that later. I'll go to the police. I'm not gonna do it a la malice and irrational. But I was illegal. I never killed nobody. I was a legal carrying person in America. But I'm just saying, this is a natural reaction. And even if anybody thinks that they're gonna go in gyms and stare people down and think that there's no consequence, the consequence may not come. But eventually, if you do that in every place, something's coming to you.
See,
because some people you can't predict how people's day is going. You can't predict who's walking in the gym, he got in an argument with his wife. Another guy, he might have some roid rage. Another guy, you just don't know, and you might run into that wrong person on that wrong day. And I mean, I just think that goes back to gym etiquette. Mind your own business, man. You know what I mean? Right, like I say, that's a reflection of something lacking inside. You know what I mean? This is a person who's probably been bullied as a child, and he feels that maybe he's big, he's strong, and he feels like he can intimidate you by looking at you, or he feels some kind of way by the way you're training. Hey man, I'm 5'6". Right now I weigh 194 pounds, and this is it's not the heaviest I've weighed in my life, but I'm just saying, I've been a small guy in gyms all my life. Okay? And I have never felt intimidated by anybody in the gym. If I saw a big guy doing something, I admire that. If I see somebody doing something great or special, I admire that. I admire the hard work. Even though I don't endorse steroids or hormones, even if a guy took them and he busted his ass and he's throwing up big weight or he looks good, hey man, congratulations to you, man. I wouldn't have done it like that, but congratulations. I congratulate, not hate. I don't hate. I don't have time to have that wasakh or that dirt in my chest or in my mind, man. I'm on this direction, bro. I'm trying to move forward in a positive direction. I got time to be, eyeballing somebody. If I'm eyeballing you, I got an issue with you, and I'm not gonna just be silent. I'm gonna step to you and deal with the issue. I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna just be staring at you.
Back to the other issue that people occupied the bench or the machine and.
Look, man. Again, you got to use your better judgment. I would say on that, because if he's that kind of person, that means he has no brain. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, if you sitting there on your phone on the weight, and I come and ask you to use the weight, and you have a problem with that, you're an idiot. Okay. So you got to understand you're dealing with an idiot. So when you're dealing with an idiot, if you waste too much time, then you become an idiot too. Mm-hmm. So it's a judgment call. Most of the time, if they see guys that, like in our training group, you're going to have, even if he's a young dude, I've even seen the young Abdurrahman, they see sweat dripping down his face, they be like, okay, come on. Even if you don't like it. Why? Because he see, I ain't doing nothing. You know what I mean? And if they just insist, man, just do something else. Go somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Not to waste time.
Yeah, not to waste time. Go somewhere else.
Yeah. So, Coach, let me say this: why people they don't reach the results they want in the gym?
Most of the time, people don't reach their results is because most of them just don't know what to do in the gym. And a lot of times, when you don't know what to do in the gym, I don't blame them. They're not guilty or wrong for doing it. They just go online and they just start trying to put stuff together and imitating And a lot of times, because no one has sat with you and try to find out what is your real goal, that takes training. You got to learn that.
A coach.
You know, yeah, coach. You know, coaches. It's not an online certificate, bro. You got to really go through some hands-on book knowledge and some hands-on knowledge, because coaching is about building a person. It's about building step-by-step foundation. You know, starting and building a solid foundation so that when you and that person part, they still have something that they can still do. You know, that's the whole thing with me. I don't want the knowledge to stop with me. I require, and everybody knows, you can go and ask, I require you to use your brain when you're training with me. You're going to have to memorize certain things, because I'm not going to let it slide. I'm going to put, why? Because I got more things to teach you.
So it's not only about the body.
No, I got to educate you. I have to educate you. So a lot of times when you don't sit down with a guy who's going to see what your goals is, and he doesn't create a strategy, academic / scientific strategy to get you from point A to point B to point C, most of the time guys aren't meeting that guy. They're meeting the guy who has memorized certain things, and they might get some results, but not real solid results and information that they can carry with them away. Also, we got to understand we live in a new time. Time is moving faster. We're losing time. We're not appreciating the time. That, you know, days or hours are moving so fast that you need a coach that understands that and strategizes the workout to fit with the era that we live in. So, who has time to sit in the gym for 3 or 4 hours trying to do a traditional bodybuilder's workout? You don't have time. Right. Most people don't have time. And if you're not planning on getting on stage, you can use principles of bodybuilding, but to solely base your workout and your supplements and your food on a guy you're never planning to get on stage. And then the thing about this, if you're planning to get on stage, you, again, have to have a goal. What is your goal? Is it Mr. Olympia? What is your goal? Why? Why I ask that question? Because ask Kai Green why he's out of bodybuilding. There's no money in bodybuilding. Why does there exist, and I'm not afraid to say it, gay for pay in bodybuilding? Why? Because these guys who are probably really gay anyway, they don't, and they use that as an excuse to make money to pay for their stacks. Yeah, because it's so expensive. Exactly. And it's also expensive to go to shows where you go on stage and you may not win and you don't get no prize or nothing like that. So it's an expensive activity / sport to be in. And so a guy who's young and gonna start doing body, you gotta decide, am I going on stage or not? And if you're not, then you should probably not use the principles and fundamentals of bodybuilding to build muscle. When you hear bodybuilding, don't think about getting on stage. Bodybuilding, you should think about bodybuilding. Building muscle on your body. That's what you should think about. And if you have that concept, I believe if you get with the right person, you can do it. That's why guys don't get results. It's the time we live in, following bad methodology, not having a real coach, and following trends. That's just an arena for a lot of guys not to get results. Or to be plateauing and be stuck in a place that I want to be. Like a guy a couple weeks, he said it more than once, but I think even last week or a week before, he said to me, Coach, I'm looking good, I like my body, but I want to. I said, bro, get out of the trend thinking that everybody is walking around with 5-6% body fat. It's just not reality, bro. Right. Everybody ain't walking around with 5-6% body fat. It's not really practical.
Even I know guys that did it naturally. They say it's not healthy to stay, in a period of time of this body fat percentage. I don't want to mention a name, but a guy, he's been doing martial arts and he's famous on the YouTube. And he said, when I stayed actually in between 6 and 5 body fat, they rushed me to the hospital.
Bro, look at what's happening to MMA and boxing, but more so in MMA, where these guys are training to the point to where they're like about to fall over when they weigh in for the fight. Okay, so being that lean is not healthy. Okay, it's just not. I mean, first of all, if I told the guy, I said, look at you, man. You do not look like the average man. Give yourself credit. This is like a disease where you look in the mirror and it's not good enough. Come on, man. I said, give yourself credit. You did something that a lot of people in society, even if you did it the wrong way, the accomplishment from when you started until where you're at now, give yourself some credit, man. Pat yourself on the back. Give yourself a hand and say, Alhamdulillah, man. Don't keep looking in the mirror and because what that's gonna do is you're gonna plant that seed in your head again, and you're gonna jump back into the well to shred that little thing. Oh, I'll just do a little cycle for the summer.
I'm traveling.
It's just like the heroin addict say, I'm just gonna take this last bump.
Oh, every time it's gonna be the last time until he dies,
or until somebody separate him, somebody who can get to him, or something happens, someone who he loves, someone who loves him and trusts him. He trusts their word, and say, hey, look, hey man, you gotta stop. You know what I mean? I think it takes something like that, or maybe religion will come into play and it'll be like, why am I doing this to myself? This is it, man. I'm addicted. This is not right. But there's multiple levels of this addiction. Let's say the guy has 50, 60,000, 100, 2 million followers. Let's say he's making anywhere from two to 10,000 dollars a month off of whatever he's selling underneath his thing. Now you have another addiction, the addiction of fame, the addiction of being liked. These are all types of different forms of addiction, and that's why I say it's just a really nasty whirlpool you can follow. Even a person on a low level, if he built himself up, he took all the. You see, that's the thing you see about these guys. Look at their profiles; they got 1,000 selfies. Really, a man? Okay, I can see if a woman does it because women are into their beauty and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's from the nature of a woman. You can see a little girl, playing with her mom's clothes and makeup and stuff like that. This is the nature of women to want to show off or whatever like that. I'm not saying that it's right to be doing it in social media. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is when I see men, even young men or older men, taking thousands of selfies and they're all vainglorious, meaning kida, If you built your platform off of that and you're addicted and you need to stop, it takes a real strong person to stand in front of the world and say, you know what, I was wrong, and this is the new me now. This is the new me. This is me clean. I'm going to go clean now. I'm going to get my life together. I'm going to get balanced and murattab, and I'm going to get myself not addicted. It takes a real strong individual to go through that process. I'm not saying it's easy, and I don't dislike those people. I just dislike when you make it law that this is how you train and this is what you do and this is the only way to do it. That's wrong. Because there is not even one way to train, period.
Right, absolutely.
There are so many different ways to train. So many different methodologies to train. And even, methodologies that you wouldn't even think of.
A guy with a lack of knowledge, especially in training, outside of what he knows, it's wrong.
Well, if you're like that, you're not going to learn anything anyway. If you're the person that knows everything, there's no hope for you.
Hey, you cannot be this person.
Yeah. I mean, this. If you know everything and everything else other than what you're doing is wrong, then hey, I congratulate when I see Coach Nettles. I congratulate. It's a different style that I know, but I congratulate it. I look at it; it's effective. When I see Coach Nasser, I look at it; it's different, but it's effective. When I saw Coach Abdurrahim, it's different, but I saw it; it's effective. Coach Khalid, Coach Rami, Coach Najjar. Hey, I congratulate people doing their job. Okay, when people think that there's only one way to do something, it means they don't know. There's not one way to do anything.
Coach, I want to say this, kind of a guy coach himself because I was watching a video of training for Ronnie Coleman, and he said, I have to have a coach to know that everything that I'm doing is 100%. So, this is Mr. Olympia like 8 times, and he has a coach.
Well, see, we have a divide in society, and this is across the board. It's not about Jeddah. This is worldwide. And you hear this in all genres, unfortunately. And the common theme is dividing the youth from the older generations. And one of the positions that the youth is common amongst the youth now is we know more than you. We don't need to go to you. Your time is over. And I really don't want to hear it. And you find this in multiple, like I say, multiple different genres. And it's a sad and unfortunate because the youth today, and I'm going to say 18 to about 35, this whole group, which is different generations, but that whole group, 18 to 35. And why do I say 18 to 35? Because that group grew into a mode in society when you didn't have to work for a lot of things. You didn't grow up getting up from the chair and going to turn the channel to the TV. You didn't grow up without a microwave. You didn't grow up without a cordless phone, probably. Maybe some people did. What that mindset did is that it's instant gratification. I need it now. I don't want to work hard for it. Your way is hard. It takes time. I don't want it. I want it now. And I'll give you a real life example in professional sports. And people, I hope a lot of people see it. And that's with Lomachenko, who's an extremely highly elite, talented boxer. But he's not perfect like they're pumping him up to be. And the guy doesn't even have 15 fights, and he already has a loss, and they're making him amongst the best that ever done it. My question is, his people, why did you put him so early in championship fights? I know from watching him, had he not fought Salido at the time he fought him, he probably could have beaten Salido later on. But this generation, I need it now, had this guy who can make a stronger argument being undefeated, losing to a journeyman. Salido is a good journeyman. He's not a bad fighter. He's a great fighter. He's a beast, okay? But in terms of who he is today, he's just a top journeyman, okay? And you lost to him. And then the guys that you did beat had to jump up sometimes 1 and 2 weight classes, like the guy from Jamaica, I can't think of his name right now, and the guy from Cuba, Rigondeaux. These guys were But I'll give you another one. The guy from China, they pumped up. Second fight in your career, you have a championship fight. This guy gets pulled out on a stretcher. Why? Why would you put him just because you thought he was good as an amateur? You just gonna throw him in with the dragons and the lions and the sharks? They gonna spit you out, man. The same thing is happening here in Jeddah, unfortunately, where people don't want to drag their knuckles. They don't want to bleed. They don't want to cry. They don't want to suffer. And work hard. You want to be put in the limelight before it's time. But at the end of the day, when your body can't take it no more, and you got a bunch of losses, and you look back and you'll be like me at 46 years old, thinking about my senior year in football, when I wasn't in the best shape. I still made a third team all conference, but still, I live with the guilt of not being the best me for my team. It wasn't an individual sport, it's a team sport. And I let my teammates down by not being the best me. I live with that today. Somebody else, these guys, these athletes that are getting into MMA, boxing, and all these other different sports, you're going to be older, maybe injured, having pains like I do, and you're gonna look back and maybe cry, humiliated. Especially when you go and look back, look at the videotapes and watch like I do, and be like, man, why didn't I run when I was supposed to run? Why didn't I train when I was supposed to train? Why did I go out with my friends when I should have been in the gym? Why did I accept that pro fight when I should have took some more amateur fights before getting in the limelight? Why? Chasing fame. You chase fame, at the end of the day, when it's 15, 20 years later, you look bad, man. You look bad. You know what I mean? When the dust settles, as we say in America, you don't want to be a guy like me and say, I should have done it like this. You don't want to be that guy. Because I'll be honest, I was a guy that didn't figure it out about training. I worked hard, don't get me wrong, but I worked just hard enough. I didn't take it all the way there, if you know what I mean. I worked hard, don't get me wrong, I was a beast in the gym. But it wasn't enough. I always held a little bit back. I know that, I'm honest. I always held a little bit back. But I'm going to tell you what, man, when I look back at those guys that I played with, the ones that were really champions, they never did. They never did. They never held nothing back in the training. They were always first and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And that's the glory that I can say of having the opportunity in my life to be on the same team with those guys, to train with them, to be coached by guys who can raise guys like that too. Because you always hear me say, I give glory to my coaches, man. Whether they like Coach Abdullah as a Muslim, because most of them didn't know me they knew me as my senior as a Muslim, but they didn't know me as a Coach Abdullah. Whether they like that or not, I don't care. I don't care who don't like me. I'm over that. Okay? You don't gotta like me. But the impact of my coaches on my life is heavy. They raised an athlete. They raised a gridiron warrior. That's no doubt. Because to be 5'6", 165, 170, 175 pounds, in the last year 185 pounds, to play at that level and to compete with those guys, and I did it, hey, I give it to them because I know those coaches, they built that. They instilled that warrior instinct in me. Man, I had to stop, man, because I ain't going. Man, them coaches, man, they get me emotional.
Guys, thank you, Coach Abdullah, for having you today with the Q&A. I'm Iron Waji. Guys, stay tuned. We want to have your interaction with us. Just ask us. Ask Coach Abdullah Whatever
You
you
said it
need to
right.
know,
Ask us.
yeah, whatever you guys need to know about training, about nutrition, about staying natural, health wise, uh, a lot of stuff. Even
Nutrient-based diet, life coaching. Let's say somebody's, I've been, trained in that. Somebody is dealing with, really heavy issues in life, and they need someone to listen. You can call me. I'll always give you an ear, and I'll always give you my time. I've gotten calls at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and I make myself available for people in need. And the reason why is because there's been times when I was in need, and there were people there for me. So I just feel as though it's my role as a member, as trying to be a productive member of society, that if a person is in need and they need someone to talk to, they need someone to confide in, they have some heavy issues that they need to deal with, I'm there for that also.
guys, if you didn't take advantage of what he said, it's on you. So, like I said, stay tuned. We're gonna put our contact numbers, our Instagram, Snapchat, emails. So feel free to contact us. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.